Today is November 18th. Today's quote is entitled Victim. When we think we are a victim, we can only blame and thus can't change anything about the situation. We become trapped in our drama, and this creates feelings of powerlessness and sometimes hopelessness. These feelings can lead one to addictions, which in our case can mean giving up trying to give up bad habits. Let's go over this one by one. These are things that I've written long ago, and I'm actually just reading them for the first time. I may have written this 7 years ago, so I'm kind of spontaneously speaking. So I have to review this a little bit. When we think we are a victim, we can only blame and thus can't change anything about the situation. Yeah, it's a great point. This is the problem with victim consciousness. Victim consciousness means the problem is outside. And if the problem is outside of me, I have no control of it. Whereas if I accept responsibility, I can control something. At least I can control the way I think about it. Maybe I can't control anything other than how I think about it, my attitude towards it, how I'm going to allow this to affect me. Or maybe I could learn from it so that in the future the same thing doesn't happen. And I can say, okay, I made a mistake. Maybe it was the person's mistake, but I trusted that person. That's my mistake. Or I didn't investigate the situation well enough. That's my mistake. Now, maybe this person, for example, cheated me. Like, we're going to buy a car soon, and I could buy a car from someone who cheated me. But I could get the car and I can have it checked out. Or I could get credentials on the person. So if I don't check out the car, and the person says the car is fine, and I buy it and it's not, whose fault is it? Well, you could say he was cheating you. And I could say, yeah, he was. But I let him cheat me. So by blaming him, it doesn't resolve the situation. But I could say, okay, now I learned something, that when I buy a car, I've got to check it out. And I didn't check this out well. So that's a problem, and I need to deal with it better in the future. So I take control of the situation. Any situation you're in that you want to improve, you have to be in a position to take control of. And blaming gives up control. It's your fault. So if it's your fault, I can't do anything until you do it better. And if you do it better, it'll make my situation better. What about if I try to do it better? That's a better choice, a better way to move. So that's the first point of this quote. Second point, we become trapped in our drama, and this creates feelings of powerlessness and sometimes hopelessness. Trapped in the drama means, okay, I've blamed this person, this is how they're doing it, I believe that what they did was wrong, they shouldn't have done it, I'm criticizing them, I'm lamenting for what happened, etc., and I don't do anything. Because the whole time I'm blaming them, I'm not focused on improving the situation myself. I'm not focused on how I can make it better. I'm only focused on what they're doing wrong. So I never get better, and I keep doing the same thing over and over again, and I don't realize it. And every time I do it, I blame somebody else, and I say it's their fault, even though it keeps happening again and again. I don't know if you've seen this in yourself or in other people, but sometimes things happen year after year after year after year, and they don't get it. It's always someone else's fault. I was just saying this morning, we've had experiences with devotees who go to one temple to another, to another, to another, and every temple they can't stay there. They create problems. The temple president asks them to leave, or asks them to rectify the problem. They don't rectify it, ask them to leave, and they just complain from one temple to another. This president, that president, they're all bad. And they never realize that the problem is within themselves because they've never taken responsibility. Therefore, they've never done anything to improve themselves. Therefore, they can't do anything to improve themselves because the problem is always with somebody else. And if the problem is always with someone else, you become powerless to make yourself better. So that's the problem with blame, even if it's justifiable blame. If we blame in a way that we don't do anything, we can't make the situation better. And that's sad. And the last thing, these feelings can lead one to addictions, which in our case would mean giving up, trying to give up bad habits. It's like sometimes when devotees fall in the situation where they're blaming, they give up Krishna consciousness, or they become addicted to some bad habit. It's just so unfortunate. But it happens. So my advice is focus on what you can do to improve and stop blaming, and everything will get better. Hare Krishna.